All right, I see most of us are in. Very nice. Okay, so let's take a look. Ancient China. Okay, what was life like in the great empires of world history? Good morning, everybody. How are you doing? We are coming up on a year of virtual learning for me and my colleagues and anyone else who's still doing distance learning. Remember when we thought we were gonna be out for 2 weeks? That was the original message, that we'd be out for 2 weeks. It's been 11 months. So I'm still kind of stumbling my way through virtual teaching, distance learning, whatever we even call this. And some lessons go better than others, but you know, whenever anything does work out really well, I love to share it with you guys. So with my 6th grade history students, we are currently doing our Ancient China unit. At the end of this week is Lunar New Year, and a lot of my students celebrate. So we've been gearing up for that. You can check out my last video to see the gift bags that I put together. I've still got some red envelopes here. Got my leftovers. I sent these with Jensen to daycare today for his Valentine's Day party because I forgot to buy Valentine's, but I had red envelopes. That's where my brain is right now. We are in ancient China. So as difficult as it is to teach ancient history online to students who I have never met without a textbook also, you know, the conditions are not ideal, but it's actually going pretty well. We had a really cool lesson today. I've been relying on Nearpod a lot for distance learning. These always end up being my best lessons, especially for ancient history, because it's a little bit difficult to make it come alive when we're not in person. But some of the features that they have in Nearpod have just made it really fun. And they are sponsoring today's video, so thank you so much to Nearpod. I'm gonna show you a couple of the really cool things that made today's lesson really fun. We'll focus on today's lesson, but last week I also did, I'm just looking at it here on my computer, we did their Lunar New Year lesson, and it was really good. It has YouTube videos embedded within it and a lot of really great information. And since so many of my students are familiar with the history and the traditions and the culture already, they were able to just add a lot. And that's another thing that's so great about Nearpod, because you know, if I were just showing them a Google Slides presentation, they don't really get to interact with that. But on Nearpod, there are so many interactive features, so they're able to contribute what they are thinking about as we go through the lesson. By the way, last night I got this sample of this Marc Jacobs super sparkly silver eyeshadow. There's no reason for me to be wearing this on a random Wednesday with my messy bun and sweatshirt, but look how sparkly and fun that is. I was just I don't care, we're doing all the sparkles today. So anyways, let's take a look at today's lesson and my favorite feature that we used. So I always have 2 computers set up here. I have this one that I run everything from, and then this one so that I can see the student view. So I joined the Nearpod myself through this, and then I'm running it through this one. And that helps quite a bit because then I can just kind of see both views. So anyway, we actually didn't even finish this lesson today, which is great. Now I just have more content for next week. And that tends to happen to me with these Nearpods because we get so into it and we spend quite a bit of time on each slide, especially the stuff that we did today. So we only got partway through. I can just pick up where we left off next week and we can continue with this lesson. So this one is Ancient China Nearpod VR Explorations. They get really excited when they see that there's the VR explorations. We actually didn't even get that far today because we were talking about so many other things, but we have that to look forward to. I've already gone through it, and I know that we get to do my favorite thing in our Ancient China unit every single year, the Terracotta Warriors. Even if you don't teach Ancient China, go to your Nearpod account right now and do this lesson just by yourself for fun and look at the Terracotta Warriors. It blows my mind that this is a real thing. There are thousands of them. They each have a unique face. They, you know, originally were painted all different color. I can't even handle it. It's just so cool. I would love to see these warriors one day in person, but like this VR experience is honestly really, really cool. Like I kind of feel like I've been there. So anyway, we're looking at the guiding question, what was life like in the great empires of world history? And that's what we're focusing on right now. We've done the Shang dynasty, we're getting into like the Zhou dynasty, and this kind of previews also the Qin dynasty, which is the dynasty under which the terracotta warriors were built and created. So anyway, it starts with a poll. This was so cute today because it asks, China is the world's blank biggest country. You have to fill in like first, second, third, or fourth. And I have a student from Russia, so he was like, I know the first biggest country. Huh?
You know what is the first country?
The first biggest? I think I do. What is it?
Russia.
Russia. It's enormous, huh? He was excited to tell us that it is Russia. And then it asks about the Chinese population. So the polls are kind of fun just to take those. And then there's a collaborate board where students get to just brainstorm and kind of show what they know before you get started. So you're kind of activating that background knowledge. Quite a few of my students have been to China or lived in China for a period of their life, so they know quite a bit about it. Then we've got some great background information, and for us this was a little bit of a recap because we have been on ancient China for a while, so it was just good to kind of remind them of that, especially since we're really not using a textbook this year. Like this is where we're getting our text. So then they have this really cool map, this satellite map, so they can look at the geography. And then this has been the most fun feature that we used today. So the draw it feature, there were a few that were in this lesson already, and then a few that I actually added. So in a lot of ways, you know, I am actually in kind of a best case scenario situation. My students get, I think they have these same ones. They have these Chromebooks. I think theirs might even be nicer. I think they might have like a updated version from what I have. I don't even know like what model this is. But the screen is a touch screen, so you can write on it, you know, you can like move things around. And then if you have a stylus, you can draw on it. And I guess it comes with a stylus like when the students got their Chromebook at the beginning of the year. I don't really know how that whole process worked, but as long as they haven't lost it by now, they have a stylus. So this draw it feature is really fun for them. If they have lost it, they can just like use their mouse pad, but this is really cool. So they have to color code like where the rivers are and the mountains and the desert, and you can do it in different colors. So that was a really fun thing to kind of get us started with the draw it feature. This open-ended question was kind of funny. Do you think China is rich in natural resources? Explain your answer. I took a picture of my favorite one. I don't know, how could a self-sustaining isolated civilization with no trading system sustain itself? It's like they're rich in resources, but I don't know, I'm only a 6th grader. They're not short on personality, I can tell you that. So anyway, we get into the dynasties. So within this lesson that's already really good, I added some extra stuff. I'm a huge fan of flocabulary. I've used flocabulary for years and years. And one of the features that I kind of miss using actually, because I used to use it in person back in the day before all of my students had a device and when I, you know, actually made copies and everything. So flocabulary, who is like a partner company with Nearpod, they're both like my favorite resources online. They're probably both like my 2 most used resources, and then I figured out a way to sort of put them together. So anyway, with each unit, you have the read and respond section. So there's an ancient China unit, and it kind of covers like all of ancient China. So I was looking at the read and respond section, and it's really, really good, but it wasn't really something I could give them at the beginning because it covers like the whole unit. And I was like, man, I wish I could just assign them like only a couple of questions at a time. And I was kind of missing the days when I used to just like print out the read and respond. And I would always have my students choose their answer, but then they had to underline where they found that answer. So they couldn't just like, you know, pick A, B, C, or D off the top of their head. They had to show me where in the passage they got the information for that answer. So it slowed them down quite a bit. They had to, you know, check their answer with the actual passage and see if that was correct. And so it most of the time leads them to the correct answer, even though it takes a little bit longer, but I really like that. So it's helping to improve their literacy skills and their reading skills, and giving them, you know, just more confidence in their answer because they know that they have looked for where to find the correct one. So what I did is I just took these read and respond questions, you know, with the possible answers, took a screenshot, and then I added my own slides to the existing ancient China lesson. And I put these in as a draw it activity. Now the first time I actually messed it up a little bit, but this showed us another kind of cool way that we could use it. So if you just add an image, that's one way to do it. So they can just look at this image, which in our case, you know, was a reading passage, and then they have the draw it kind of blank slate below them. So the first question that we read was about the ancient Chinese creation myth. So for that one, I read the passage out loud to them. They were able to click on it and see it and read it. And then I had them draw like their own depiction of this myth, you know, with their stylus down below on that. It's basically like a blank sheet of paper. So that was one way to do it. But then I realized if you insert the image that you have, so in my case, you know, it was the screenshot of the passage and the question, you can put it in as a background so that they're actually able to write on that. So for the second question, that's what I wanted them to do. So they were able to take their stylus and highlight the section of the passage where they found the answer, and they were able to like fill in the little bubble of the answer that they thought was correct. And then as the teacher, I can see what everybody's doing. So I can see like people who haven't started at all, people who are in progress, people who have already submitted. And then once they've submitted, I can share their work, and it doesn't show the student name, but then, you know, if there's a really good example, I can share it, students can see it and see what really good work looks like. So that was really, really fun today. And that allows us to kind of get the benefits of like the pencil and paper way of interacting with the read and respond like we used to. Like, I mean, it's literally been like 5 years since I used to do it that way. But it really is an important skill. And I remember thinking that like, oh, the read and respond on Flocabulary now is good because it's just on their Chromebooks. They can't lose it, you know, everything is right there. But I really did miss that process of like finding the answer, highlighting it or underlining it, and then answering it. So now just being able to merge it with Nearpod lessons really helps out a lot because now I get the best of both worlds. And kind of the way that I use Nearpod is a lot of the time, like, that's what we'll do in class, and really like we give away all of the answers while we're on the Nearpod. Like, I don't really grade a lot straight from Nearpod. Like, this is just, you know, our way of interacting, and, you know, occasionally a kid has just like Wi-Fi issues at their house or whatever. And so like, it's fairly low stakes, but then I'll assign, you know, something for homework. Like, I can even assign the Flocabulary read and respond, all of those same questions like the next day. And if we've already practiced all of them on the Nearpod, then they could go through and do those you know, in Flocabulary, and they've previewed them before, they're a little more prepared. So I'm just trying to set them up for success in every way possible and make things not necessarily easy for them, but just, you know, actually teach them all of the things that they're going to be asked about. So if you are also teaching Ancient China, I think this lesson is excellent. They do have a few others. They have one specifically on like the Qin Dynasty, I think. And then there's the Lunar New Year one. They have a Great Wall of China VR thing. I mean, that's more like the Ming Dynasty. That's a little bit beyond what we do. I always have to explain that. The Great Wall wasn't as great as it became in the Ming Dynasty during the Qin Dynasty, which is what we study in 6th grade. So I've got to remind the 7th grade teachers actually to do that Great Wall lesson, because that's a little bit more of a 7th grade thing. But yeah, whenever I get frustrated and think like, I don't know how to teach all of this stuff, and we don't really have a textbook, we don't really have an online history curriculum, I'm like, oh, Nearpod, hello. They've had so much of what I've needed. There is a little bit of a learning curve with it just to get used to like all the different features. Like, that's kind of the double-edged sword, is that they have so many amazing features, but then you have to like become familiar with all of those features. So they recently had this event called Camp Engage, and it's actually over now, but you could still like sign up and then just go through and watch all of the pre-recorded sessions, which is kind of nice because now you don't have to worry about like attending anything on time. You can just watch them whenever you have time. And just a couple of quick Nearpod tutorials will seriously like change your teaching, especially if you are all online like I am. This is just vital. Like there's kind of no other way that I can do this. Otherwise things are just really, really boring. Or if you have some kids at home and some kids are in the class, this is a really good way to connect them, because if they're all on the same Nearpod, they're still like chatting and adding to the collaborate board and, you know, like taking the polls and stuff together. So they're doing all of that in one lesson. And then again, if there's something that you don't want, you can take that out. You can add in your own stuff and, you know, mess around with the different features. And again, I really like the draw it feature with my students. Just like any excuse to use that stylus. It's just like, ooh, let's do this. They want a color. So it ended up being really fun today. So I hope that you have a chance to try it out. In the description, I'm going to leave information for how to get signed up with Nearpod if you haven't already, or how to sign up for Camp Engage if you have Nearpod, but you just like, you know, haven't really been comfortable enough to use it very well. I hope that this, you know, gives you some ideas. All right, I still have a bunch of 8th grade essays to grade, so I gotta get on that. They're not really too much of a hack. I need to read them all, all 150. So thank you guys so much for watching. I will see you soon. I hope this was helpful, and leave any questions about Nearpod down below and I should be able to answer them, or at least like point you towards somebody else who can. I hope you're having a great week, and I will see you soon. Bye. Okay, let's see how much you guys know. In ancient Chinese figure, dragon. Oh, having a new dynasty, then that dynasty becomes corrupted, then starting a new dynasty, then that dynasty becomes corrupted, and then, yes, okay, you've outlined our lesson already. Okay, just write your letter. And then, I see a cool sky. You guys are very good guinea pigs for testing this out for me. Oh, I love it. Okay. Ooh, I'm gonna do like a little highlight. I'm gonna pick a color. Don't forget to underline where you found your answer. I see a lot of good ones. Oh, okay, or you can highlight. I see some people highlighting. Very nice. I just found a Lego flame inside my leggings. I was like, what is this? I like pushed it out the bottom. Lego fire. Lego fire. I see a couple of correct ones. I'm gonna share your answers. Okay, so look at this. And as you can see, oh, wasn't sharing. There we go. Wow, Timmy highlighted everything. I love an excuse to use the styli.